Hi traders, welcome to this video. Today I want to share some of my thoughts about the market and some of the changes in my portfolio I did with you. Today is a typical shakeout day, so that's how I recognize it. And to recognize a shakeout or a down move in the market, I don't have to look at the indices. I recognize a shakeout day or a down day when I look at my portfolio, when I look at my watch lists, and when I look into the screeners. And the first thing I noticed today was my equity curve. My equity curve or my account size went down more than 4%. And that's always a limit for me where I say, okay, when my equity curve is going down more than 4%, I start to get defensive. And during the day, my equity curve was, I think, down 6%, so around that level. And I started to get defensive immediately. And why? Well, it's very simple. Every big drawdown in my equity curve started with one big down day. So all my drawdowns in my equity started with one big down day over 4%. And that's a mark, or that's a limit where I say, okay, now it's time to get defensive. Now it's time to protect my capital, and I start to raise cash. And I want to show you how I did this. So you can see here that was my portfolio. And let's go through a few stocks here. This is Teladoc, and you can see Teladoc had this failed breakout yesterday, and today it opened with a little gap and went lower. Teladoc is not a problem for me because I bought the position very early, so I bought that here in the breakout. I reduced a little bit through this pullback. I bought more here, and you know, this position has a buffer, or has some profits, and with that I have a profit cushion in that trade. And I'm also believing in this trade, or have a big conviction in this trade, because it's coming out of this big base here. So, and when I see a trade is coming out of a big base, I have a higher expectation about the trend, and I'm expecting a longer trend here. So I did nothing with Teladoc today. MP was a position, or is a position I still own. I wrote about that on Twitter here, and it had a very nice breakout here. So I started to buy the position here before, and I added aggressively yesterday to that position. And because it was up on a gap up and very nice volume, so everything perfect. And today I sold a little bit out of this position. So it reached a new high here, so that is definitely a positive sign. But intraday, so during the day, the stock gave back all the gains, and I decided to raise cash in my portfolio, and then I say, okay, I take some profits out of the trade. So I had a 20% position, and I reduced it to 15% to free a little bit cash. And Quanterix, another position I own. It broke out here very nicely. I added a little bit to my position here, and the same thing here. I decided to reduce the position size today from 20 to 15%, because I want to raise cash in my portfolio. And this trade does not show me any good gains at the moment, so I'm also defensive with that trade. CLF is a position I bought today. So I monitored or observed the stock for quite a while, and I see a lot of things going on in the basic materials sector, and I think CLF looks very nice from the technical perspective. So I decided to buy a very small position today, so only 7.5% of my capital is in CLF, and also with a very small or very tight stop loss at the moment. And another position I bought today was CBET, because this, I observed the stock for a long time right now, and I see a lot of things going on in the battery sector, and also in relation batteries and also basic materials and lithium stocks and etc. And CBET is a position I bought, also a very small one today, only 7.5%, very tight stop loss below the current bar here. It's up on good volume, so let's see what will happen with my test position here. If it follows through, I can double my position easily, but it's only a very small one, and I'm very quick to sell it if it goes down. I decided also to sell my CrowdStrike position today. I bought it here on the breakout and added a little bit to it, but it fell back immediately, and I wanted to sell the position almost break even. And that's also another thing when I raise cash and when I get into a defensive mode. I start selling positions which do not have so much gains, and where I can get out easily around my break-even level. And if now CrowdStrike, for example, sets up again here, I can easily buy the position back on a pullback or even on a breakout. NEO, I'm a little bit disappointed about NEO here. So I bought the stock here on this pullback here, or when it starts to recover from the pullback, and I added yesterday to that stock when it was up very nicely and reached a new high, and today it opened up with a gap down, and always a gap down is a very bad sign. And it opened with a gap down and immediately followed through to the downside. So I decided to sell the position as soon as possible. And I realized a full loss on that position, so 1% of my equity. That's not a big deal. So I had a higher expectation on the stock. The expectation was not fulfilled, and I exit the stock immediately on my stop loss level. And it's down 9% here, so maybe it was a right decision. I also decided to sell Roku. Roku is a position I owned since September, so I bought it here end of September and had a very nice uptrend here, up to 160%. I added multiple times to the position. I sold multiple times, so I took multiple times profit, and that's very typical. I always trade around a core position. So my core position in Roku was around 15%, and sometimes Roku was up to 30%, and then I took profits and added back to the position. And I decided to sell that today because of two reasons. The first one, we will have earnings in a couple of days, and the position also opened with a gap down, which is a bad sign here. The second reason was that I say, okay, I want to raise cash, and that's a position where I say, okay, it had so big profits in the past, and when I want to raise cash, and I see, okay, we will have earnings in a couple of days, which is also a risk. I decided to sell out my Roku position here. And I also sold BNGO. This was a highly speculative swing trade here. So I bought the position here, and I decided to sell a position on that level. So now you maybe say, okay, it was a very bad choice to sell it exactly at that pullback level here. But that doesn't matter for me. So because in that situation, I want to see when I trade very aggressive trades, I want to see that it is able to hold the lows of the days, and especially when I'm in a defensive mode, when my equity curve is going down and I see all these red numbers in my portfolio, I don't want to own big, highly speculative stocks. So, and that's why I decided also to sell the stock here with a stop loss. I think it was 13.90 or something, and took some profits in that stock. And if you look at now at my portfolio positions, so I changed a lot here, and the first thing is what I have in mind is I want to protect my capital. When I see that I have a more than 4% down day in my equity curve, so the first thing what comes up in my mind is I don't want a 10 or 15 or 20% drawdown. That's the first thing what comes up in my mind, because I can buy back every stock tomorrow. I can wait for better setups. I can wait for good consolidations, etc. But the first thing what I want is I want to protect my capital. And I want to protect also my mental capital, which means when I'm sitting in a big drawdown, that has an impact on your mindset. That has an impact on the ability to press the buy button again. And that's what I want to avoid. And when I see that a drawdown starts in my account, I get immediately defensive and start to sell positions. And yesterday I was around 130% long, so 30% on margin, and today I own only 40%. So I sold a lot of stocks, and I raised a lot of cash here. And another thing besides the drawdown is that I also want to reduce the volatility in my equity curve, in my account. So, and now when I sold down from 130 to 40% equity, that means that now every change in my equity curve is much smaller than yesterday. When tomorrow all my stocks are down 2%, that does not have a big impact on my equity curve. But when I'm along 130% and all the stocks are down 2%, that means I have a down day of 2.6%. And with only 40% exposure or 40% invested capital, I reduce this volatility, and I'm very, very close to the all-time high in my account and in my equity curve. So it's very easy for me when I now put back capital, or when I buy new positions. It's very easy for my account and also for my trading to reach new highs in my equity curve. And that's also one thing. I freeze now my equity curve very close to very close to the all-time high. So, and I don't allow my equity curve to go down 20% or something, and then I have to fight against a drawdown. So that's what my thoughts about the current situation. And I said at the beginning, I don't have to look at the indices. I look at my portfolio here, and you can see it was down, or the stocks in my portfolio were down. And when I now look at my watch list, and I'm very, very consistent with the stock selection, so I have always the same type of stocks. in my watch list. So high growth names and also growth and innovative stocks. You can see that, you know, we have only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stocks with a positive change, and the rest here is negative. And when we quickly go through the stocks here, EHang, that's a special situation. I wrote about that on Twitter. Then I have here the Bitcoin Trust, Fubu, which is setting up very nicely, Novavax, which is a biotech stock, Net, and here it starts. You know, you can see a failed breakout in Net. RVP or RVP is consolidating right now. MP, I own the stock. CLVB, very extended, so very strong above the EMA 65 here. Pinduoduo holding up very nicely, so I owned the stock some weeks ago and I sold that. And now, you know, when you look back here, Progenity, failed breakout, MongoDB, failed breakout or pullback, Genmark, stock I'm observing right now, ZS, so Zscaler, you can see this grinding higher pattern, so every new high is a failed breakout, so very negative pattern. Upwork, very nice, so very strong stock. Snap consolidating very nicely but did not follow through here. Expel consolidating right now. Apps, very strongly after earnings, pulling back. Tesla, so the absolute bellwether stock every institution has to own right now, is in a downtrend right now. So going to the EMA 65 here. Bilibili, looks nice, but a little bit, shaky around the highs here. KC looks good. AMCR looks good. Nari, so big pullback here. I owned the stock here and got stopped out. Big pullback and nice reversal here. DKNG, I decided to sell the stock a few days ago. You can see tested here this breakout level again, and you can see that you know, there is no convincing price action at the moment in all the stocks. You know, it's more that the most stocks are going sideways, very volatile, or showed failed breakouts, are extended, and especially if we now look to the stocks which had a bigger down day today, you can see here Ammo, for example, Yalla pulling back, Neo, we talked about that, XPI here, you know, failed breakout to the upside, Sprout, pulling back from a very nice breakout here. Here PRTS, failed breakout, Peloton in a downtrend and also below the EMA 65 here after earnings. On track, failed breakout. Celsius holding, so lower high, you can see here, so it's maybe now in a downtrend or consolidation here. Onem, already almost failed breakout. Fulgent, failed breakout to the upside, etc. You can see the pattern here. You can see that more and more stocks showing very weak price action, and this is what I'm interested in. You know, I don't have to look at the Nasdaq or something. I look at my watch list. I look at my portfolio, and they're giving me all the information I need. And I only use the indices. When I now look at the indices, I use them for confirmation. You know, when I observe a special behavior in my watch list and in my portfolio, then I start to look at, for example, here the ARK Innovative or the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, and then I can see, okay, well, it's very choppy and it's very close here to a resistance line, and that's what I wrote about also in my free newsletter here at the weekend. So, and then I'm looking at the VIX, so at the volatility index, and see, okay, well, it's still in a downtrend here, so very good. So maybe it's not that we will see a big pullback or a deep pullback here. So maybe it's just a shakeout day or something. And the second thing, after I looked at my watch list and my portfolio and see what's going on and the raised cash and etc., then I'm looking at my screeners. And in my screeners, I'm looking what is coming up. So what are the strong stocks and what's going up in the stocks I'm observing. And now I'm here in MarketSmith and I look at my main screener here, so stocks with a RS rating of above 90 and some other criteria. So you can see them in another YouTube video I have on my channel. And then I sort them by volume or by percentage above 50-day average volume. And then I easily switch to the stocks here, and see what's coming up. And the most of them I ignore because they are very highly speculative stocks or something. And and then I'm looking through a couple of stocks here, especially on a down day. I look at stocks which are up. So you can see here Rye Blockchain, for example, is now as a Bitcoin related stock. Then we have Palantir here, but failed breakout, does not look very good. Then we have a lot of down stocks. Then I have a biotech stock here, Vir Biotechnology. So I think it's COVID-19 related. Altimmune, another biotech stock with a positive change today. Sanover, so a solar stock, but very volatile in my opinion. And then we have Mohawk Group here, so I think it's e-commerce related stock when I have that right in my mind. So, but it's very extended here, no interest. Cloudflare, we already talked about that. Celdex, another one with a positive change here, and so on and so on. So I went through my screeners and see what's coming up here. So what are the stocks which are bought on a down day in the markets? Because most of them show a very high relative strength. And so if we here, for example, see the 9, so this is a Chinese provider of gaming services, very extended, so nothing interesting for me. So and then I moved through all the stocks here to see what are strong stocks which can resist the down pressure in the market. And I'm also looking at one another screener, and this is New RS High. This is a screener I use to see what are the stocks reaching a new high in the RS line. And the RS line, so the relative strength line, which compares the price movement of the stock to the S&P 500. That's a blue line here, so this one. And when the just take another example here, when the line is making a new high, that always means that the stock is outperforming the S&P 500. And this screener shows me a lot of stocks which are able to outperform the down day in the markets. And when I look through that screener on a down day, I always look for similarities between stocks to find maybe new possible themes. And when I look through the results here, you can see here biotech, for example. Then you can see another biotech stock here, Cleveland Biolabs. So then we see a lot of oil and basic resources stocks. So AR, for example, Antero Resources, reached a new high here in the RS line. Tusk or Mammoth Energy Services, another one very strong here today, reached a new high in the RS line. Let's see, SLCA, so that's also oil stock, reach a new high here. Sandwich Energy, Laredo Petroleum, etc. So something is going on in the energy sector. That's what the result is showing me here. So Matador Resources, also an energy stock. Then we will see what's coming up here. Some bank stocks, so Triumph and another bank stock. Vedanta, for example, is also basic material stock. Here's another bank coming up. Here's Antero Midstream Partners, also oil related. OAS, Oasis Petroleum, also oil related. Then we saw some China stocks here, JD, Vipshop. I saw Pinduoduo a little bit above. So maybe that's another theme coming up here. Here's another one, oil stock. And that's, when I look at my screeners on a down day, I try to find those similarities. And then I'm going deeper into the research. So now I'm seeing, okay, a lot of oil stocks are coming up, a lot of basic material stocks, and something is going on in that sector, and something is going on in the industry, and this is the first clue to start more research on those stocks. So this is another task I'm doing when I raised cash and when I go into a defensive mode, and when I see that a lot of stocks are not acting good, I look always at my screeners and try to see what's going on in the market, what are the stocks which can resist the pressure. And with that, I also start to change my watch list and also put some stocks on my watch list which maybe will start a new uptrend or will maybe become the next leaders in the market. Okay, I hope that this video helped you a little bit to understand what I am doing when I see pressure on my portfolio and when I see no or almost no attractive setups in my watch list. That's always a sign and a clue I take very seriously from the market. And again, my first goal is to protect my capital. This is really the first thing I want to do, because I want to avoid to fight against a 20% drawdown. I want only to have a 10% drawdown at maximum. So I think my deepest drawdown in the last years was 12%. So, and that's what I'm always trying to fight against. And, for me, it's much more important it's much more important to sell stocks and buy them back tomorrow or buy them back next week, but I protected my capital. It's not about being right or being wrong. So it's really about protecting your capital and then coming back again into the market, buy into new leaders, and let your equity curve reach new highs very, very quickly. So that's all about. So, and then on the second level, I'm looking for new stocks, new themes, what really can resist the pressure in the market. Okay, so you can follow me on Twitter, of course, if you are interested in more stocks and more trading tips, and of course here on YouTube. So if you have any questions, write a comment. I personally always recommend to subscribe to my free newsletter. So I send it out every Sunday with some trading tips and some stocks from my personal watch list. And in mid-2021, there will be a video course which you can buy, where you can learn a lot about stock trading and also chart analysis, volume analysis, and all about my own process.